For the players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast. Over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 6+ years in that games media combined. I'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations, please check out our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All our links in the description below.
Yeah, come talk to us on Twitter, man. Like, Max is getting better at it. I'm counting down PS5 and talking a whole bunch of garbage. Come do it.
Yeah, you can listen to me talk smack about the help system of the UI, telling me to get good in Demon Souls.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/popculturist where you can watch us record this show live. Get in the chat, become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. Be sure to give it a 5-star rating and a written review on podcast services like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Or if you are watching us on that YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I will respond to every comment that comes our way. And of course, you want to support us financially, you can. Patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit without logos on it. It's getting real, man. It's less than a month to the PS5. I'm feeling it. I'm getting excited. And as I mentioned, I'm doing an ongoing countdown where every day at some point, lately it's been at like 11:40 p.m. I'm like, oh shit, it's almost the end of the day. I need to make a post. So I'm tweeting every day at some point about the PS5. I'm counting down the days just to focus my excitement into something. I'm sure it's annoying everyone that follows me on Twitter. Is it? Good. Good.
Can confirm.
Good.
That's alright.
Not even mad. I'm going to do it anyway because it's fun for me. Like, there's no activity on it. No interaction. No nothing. But fuck it. It's fun for me. And in this time, Max, in this fucked up year that we're in, sometimes you need to do some things just for you. And if that means annoying all your friends, this is it.
Yeah, why not?
How you been, man?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Anything going on? Anything specific?
Just that next month is going to be an awesome month for me. So we've got the PlayStation launch on the 12th of November, and then I'm booked in for my next tattoo on the 13th.
Oh, you got it in!
Yeah, got it in.
Fantastic.
Friday the 13th. Can't wait.
Hopefully the restrictions are eased by then. I can come in and be like, yeah.
Got in at 5 p.m.
Oh, damn. How long do you reckon?
A couple of hours, probably.
Yeah.
Getting the bottom half of my right arm done.
Exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm so keen. Been waiting for a while. So yeah, my wife basically went, I don't really have a gift idea for the wedding anniversary that's coming up, so I'm just gonna write you a blank check to go get a tattoo. I'm like, okay.
A blank check's a risky call. Is she aware of the designs you had in mind? Or
yeah, so it's 23 centimeters long up the length of my arm. So it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, but it's all black though. Yeah,
it's all black. Yeah,
yeah, because you haven't jumped on the color.
Well, I do have a color tattoo on my back, but it's faded quite a bit.
Yeah,
and I don't like how quickly the color fades.
Yeah, I was sort of worried about that going with the coloring on mine, but then I was like, well, they're pretty bright colors. Even if they fade, they'll still be brighter. But yeah, the next one I have in mind is probably is likely to be all black anyway. So I feel you there. Dash in the chat does ask, what kind of tattatu is it? It's
I'm
one
getting
on his arm. It's a skin one.
It's one on my arm. I'm getting the as taboo as this probably is at the moment. I've had this discussion with a few people. I'm getting the three brothers that defeated death tattooed on my arm
from Harry Potter in that cool sort of marionette style.
Yeah, so it is associated with Harry Potter, which is a shame because she's a garbage person, but at least she gets none of the revenue from this. So
Yeah, separating art from artist.
I can separate it out.
Yeah.
I can still enjoy the things I like to enjoy without having her taint it.
That's true. Very much so. Because this is before we realised that she was garbage.
What about yourself? How's your week?
My week's been pretty chill, man. Not a whole lot went down.
I saw you take some gorgeous green screen photos earlier this week.
I did, yeah. So with the new the new program I've got running at work is like we needed some promo material. So I was like, all right, Parash's like, can you get some? Because like they have some old stock photos of me from there like 2 and a bit years ago. So I look fat as fuck. So I'm like, because they made a mock up of it and they put that photo in there, and I went, no, you cannot use that photo of me because I fucking hate it. I'm like, I'm 26 kilos less. Can you fuck off with that photo? I don't look like that. and they're like, oh no, we understand. And like, we don't have any other ones. Can you get some new ones? I'm like, okay. So I took advantage of the new studio space we have at work, and I used our gamer championships. I took some photos with some things, and we're going to do another round on Tuesday, but more fantasy themed ones. So for the role playing groups, fun. And it's, for the first time in a long time, I liked every one of those photos.
Mm.
And it cannot be understated how fucking good that feels.
Yeah.
Where like every one of them, like, that's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one. I was feeling hot as fuck, and I liked it, and I thoroughly liked it.
That's good.
It's a good feeling. What have you been playing this week, Max?
Like I said to you just before we started recording, I played Crash to completion. I saw credits. I'm now going back through trying to get as many of the gems, the time trials, the color, all that jazz. Man, I struggled at the back end of this game. On the last level, I think I died about 49 times, and I almost ran out of lives and game overed.
Oh damn! Oh, because you're playing on the retro mode. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think my old man brain can keep up with what I have to do. Yeah. So there's this section of this level where you have to use all 4 masks in quick succession, one after the other, doing different puzzles, all in the one jumping section.
What?
So you go, for instance, you get the spinning one, you jump up, and as you're about to land, you hit the slow time one. You've got to activate that so you can land safely on the nitro boxes, and then you jump off that. You get the inverted flip one, and you got to flip up and back down to make like this U-turn jump. And then you got to start popping things in and out of existence. It's just, it was doing my head in. It hurt my brain.
I'm also already incredibly confident that I will not be able to complete that level.
It's literally the very last level.
Ew.
Right before the final boss. And it just destroyed it.
Brutal.
But man, that game, I went back and did it again, and did it significantly faster and easier the second time through.
Yeah.
But
once you have that idea of what you're doing.
It was rough. The boss fights were really cool. The penultimate boss fight was kind of weird. Because normally bosses have like a minimum 3 hits to kind of. This one had 2 hits.
3 rounds, yeah.
Yeah, 3 rounds. This one had 2 hits and it was dead. That was it. It was over very quickly. It was kind of anticlimactic. The last one had like 10. That was really good. And that used all 4 masks, but the boss was using them. So there's a section where you're upside down and they're just popping blocks in and out of existence and slowing everything else down and speeding everything else up. It was a really fun boss fight, actually.
That sounds intense.
Yeah. So overall, the game made some fantastic additions to the original trilogy, especially with those extra characters that you can play. With Dingo Dial, was it Torna?
Yeah.
Torna and Cortex. Cortex was probably my least favorite out of all of the players to play as because he has a blaster and it's inaccurate as. It's really hard to hit boxes on the move as you're trying to shoot and dodge things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, really, really fun game.
Awesome.
Difficult, but fun.
Yeah. I did try to go back to it a little bit earlier in the week because I did have to get over the mental hurdle. Like, I'm having There's this hurdle that I have to think because I'm sure you're the same. Is I'm like, I want to try get all the boxes in the one run, and it's dismissive to say OCD, but it's like there is a completionist part of my brain that's like you need to get all the boxes. You cannot leave the level until if it's not done all the boxes or as many as you can get. So I had to make that conscious decision. I was like, I'm just gonna finish it. I'll finish the level. I'll come back. And I got through like 3 levels, and my brain went no, and I had to leave.
Well, I had the same initial. I played the same way. I had the same initial thought. I've 100% completed the first 2 worlds.
Nice.
And then it got to the point where I was getting so frustrated trying to hit all the boxes because the levels were getting so challenging that I was spending a good hour and a half on a single level. And I'm like, I kind of want to just get through this. I want to see it to completion. Then I can go back and do it.
Yeah. And that was sort of my point as well.
Well, you unlock an ability at the end of the game once you've finished it that is supposed to help do all that.
Oh, okay.
There's something you unlock that will make things easier.
So it won't hinder me if I decide to just sort of golden path a little bit.
No, not really. Not
Beautiful. At all. Dave Chataway in the chat is Crash 4 on PC? Not currently. I believe it's PS4 and Xbox at the moment. Anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, I dove real hard into Genshin Impact, the free-to-play Chinese mobile game, but I'm playing it on mobile, PS4, and PC currently.
Jesus, is it all shared amongst each other?
No, but that's fine because I think my main one is going to be the PC at the moment because the way the game works is it's similar to all those like Gashapon style games where you get a random chance at loot. Okay. And if you don't get what you want, you can pay money and kind of re-roll and try and get what you want. So what I did is, because I'm a bit of a cheapskate, I played through to level 10. At level 10, it takes about 20 minutes to get there. You get a bunch of free spins to get new characters and stuff. And if I didn't like what I got, I deleted the character, started again.
I'm only 20 minutes. How does it hurt? You know what I mean?
So I did it 3 times until I got the 5-star champion that I wanted. And then I'm like, cool. I'll just keep playing now. And I've been playing it almost non-stop for like the last 3 days. It's just so much fun. It's right up my wee belly. And like it looks really nice in 4K and HDR. Like it looks great on my phone and on the PlayStation as well. But because it was designed to play on mobile, it just looks absolutely fantastic on everything else.
Oh, imagine, yeah. So it's like, well, at least on a good note, at least it upscales well. Because you think it would go the other way. Well, if it's designed for mobiles and then you expand it out, it could actually look worse. But
it supports ultra widescreen.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like it looks real good.
Very nice.
What about yourself? What have you been playing this week?
So I wrapped up. I started and wrapped up Resident Evil VII over this week.
I saw you playing that the other day.
Yeah. So I started that on. Was it? I think it was this. Was it this week? Yeah, I did. I started on Wednesday. I started Resident Evil 7 on Wednesday. I put about 2 or 3 hours into it, and then Friday night, I got a message from Dash. He's like, "Hey, you streaming tonight, man?" I'm like, "I had no plans to." He's like, "Well, maybe what if you do? Like, why don't you?" I'm like, "Huh? Maybe I will." So then I jumped in and did some more Resident Evil, and then I finished it off this morning. So it turns out, like I knew that I had either finished it or got really far into the game last time I played. Turns out I was nowhere near as far as I anticipated. Because there's a moment, like, after a series of events, there is a boss fight that I felt quite boss fight, like, end boss fighty. And then you get in a boat and you scoot off. I was like, oh, mad, this must be the end. And I would have just bounced out previously. Nah, I'm not even close. There's like a fucking whole extra part, which is great. Put it out there. I know I said this back in the day when we reviewed it and I played, like, what is now 75% of it. The game is amazing. Resident Evil 7 is so fucking good. Like, front to back, brilliant. You get this big sense of Resident Evil 1, you're stuck in this giant house and there's a lot of backtracking and going through in and out and solving puzzles. And like Grant says, it's not zombies, it's these mold people, which initially seem really fucking weird. But then as the game progresses, you start to understand why they're all there, and it ties into all the bigger, larger umbrella sort of, experiments. And you're like, oh, this is fucking brilliant. And then, the family, the Bakers, like they start off really like you think they're really aggressive, very sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque characters, but you come to learn that they're sort of, you get to see a little bit of human in them a little bit later, which I love. It's great, man, and all the first person perspective really adds a lot to it. Even though I loved Resi 2 and its third person sort of over the shoulder angle, first person just made it intense. It was awesome. The game's fantastic.
One of the best things that they do with that, especially with, like you mentioned, Resident Evil 1 and 7, they make use of such it's not necessarily a small space, but they fit so much into a single space where they can run an entire game, an entire story in one location without ever having to leave. And there's still so much to do. Yeah, and in the same way that like 2 remake, I think 3 remake technically as well, is that at any point you can just backtrack your way to the mansion. So you start in the swamp house, and then eventually you head into different areas of like this estate, and then you at any point you can just turn around and wander on back if you wanted to. Not you can't, you shouldn't, but you could. And I love that big sort of all is connected. It's not like level. It's great. The game's fantastic. There are moments though when the game looks fantastic. The moments where it looks kind of poo. That's probably the only big hurdle with it. But with it being sort of with the big gimmick at the time was that it was playable in PSVR as well. I understand why there was some scaling back of some sort of some animations, because that would have been way too intense for VR, especially in early 2017. So, I have one game left for my must play before next gen. To update everyone. So Resident Evil 7, because I believe that Resident Evil 8 is coming out in the first 6 months of next year. Then there was Ratchet and Clank, because I believe Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is coming out in the first 6 months of next year. What else was there? Oh, the Spoods DLC, because Spider-Man's right around the corner. And then the last one of the 4 is Horizon Zero Dawn. I do have to go back and finish that off. I did start that again X amount of time ago, but I'll have to push through that because we're about to hit that busy as shit back end of October. I don't know how much time I'm going to have for it. I don't think I'll achieve my goal of getting it before November 12th. It may be something I'll do before the end of the year. So a bit of a compromise there on the goals that I created, so I can essentially just fuck off if I wanted to. But I'm not going to. And on top of that as well, I have been playing Cook, Serve, Delicious 3 with the code provided kindly to us by the development team and the PR, Stride PR, I believe. The game's it's the same in the best way, but it's simplified and it's more focused. So previously, you would in Cook, Serve, Delicious, it is a semi-complicated cooking game. So the idea is that you would make food, but it's all a series of button prompts. So rather than just going in the menu, if you were to give it an order for, say, like a hamburger, down the bottom of the screen, it would say, I need buns, cheese, whatever. It's all separated into individual items. And then you would, there is a small menu and you select R2 and you got 4 options: triangle, circle, square, and X. L2, triangle, circle, square, and X. And each of those are a different ingredient. So depending on that, and because you're all constantly surrounded by time and getting these orders out in quick succession, so you're just like, and it's really testing your like muscle memory in your hand. So when I use the example, like the jokingly example of the Dark Souls of cooking games, is because once something's there, you can't pull back. So like if it says 2 cheese and you put 1 cheese, but then you put the lettuce on, it's like, oh fuck, this burger's wasted. And you can still deliver it. You can't back out. So you've got to complete the burger and give them a burger that's garbage.
So like if you want to hit that gold medal within that level, like you really need to get your timing down pat. So previously, and using 2 as an example, what you would do is you were building your own restaurant, and in order to gain recipes, to gain items to decorate your restaurant, you would go work at other competing restaurants. So you would go there, and all the different restaurants would have different themes, and you'd unlock more as you went. One of the big common ones is Max Wieners. With 2 X's to make it sexy. So you'd go in there and you'd make a bunch of food, and then you would gain the recipes and take it back to your thing. And they would all work on a series of levels as well. Here, they've actually gone more of a direct story approach. So rather than just play a bunch of restaurants, collect shit, and build your thing, they've literally made a campaign now. So it's set after the events of Cook Serve Delicious 2, where it's the year 2040, I believe, and like nuclear war has taken over. The tower that your restaurant was in has been blown to fucking smithereens. You were in it, but you survived. There's these 2 robots that come and grab you, and they take you because the food trucks are all the craze now, Max. In the year 2040, post-apocalyptic, movable food. So the difference here is you join their food truck, and that becomes your restaurant. You can customize it, you can earn recipes, you can do a bunch of cool shit, right? So you are essentially traveling across country, making food in a food truck. So understandably, there's a different process here, where in number 2, the orders would just come in. You go ding, 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 and you sort of do them in order as they come in. And it wouldn't stop until you get like a lunch rush and like a bit of a quiet window where you can sort of, prep some things if you need to. Where here, it's all about stops. So you'll have like, say, 3 stops in a day. So you have enough, so as you're driving to the location, you have enough time to prep some things, like put some chips down, that sort of shit, get things going in motion that take a little bit of time. So by the time you get there, and you can just start pumping out orders. Or they've also included special orders where you can start preparing some of the bigger meals before you even get there. So a lot of that intensity that is in Cook Serve Delicious 2 about when you are just constantly working to a clock because you have no idea what the orders are going to be, except for you have an idea of what the menu is. So you're in there and it's like bam, 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 bam. And then on top of that, it's like clean the toilet, do this, put rat traps down. So all these little tasks that come in without it, and it's a constant pressure. Where here, they've alleviated some of that pressure. Now, it does still have some intense. So, because, you can be so prepared, but when you get to the stop, they'll just start, like, unloading orders on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get there and, like, so say, like, oh, man, I've put all these chicken strips down. I've made all these donuts or whatever you decide your menu to be. And you get there and, boom, they're gone in the first round. And it will say, like previously, we never really told you how many orders are left from my memory. We're here in the top right. It's like 30 orders remain. You're like, oh shit. Well, I'm gonna need to put down like and so you just start juggling that while also juggling the other stuff. It's I love it because it's like it even though I myself worked for 5 years in fast food and I hated it. You think I would hate this? But it's the actual opposite, really, because it's very it's very structured. It's it's guided in the way that you know exactly what to expect. So the only thing about it is your skill.
I'm a bit confused. So is it the way you're explaining it? Is you use the triggers and then the face buttons to do certain tasks. Are you moving around the kitchen at all, or is it all stationary? So
it's all stationary.
It's not. So you're not doing, for instance, kind of like what's the cooking game that I'm thinking of? Where you got
like Overcooked, where you run around. No. So you're essentially at one location, and it is very menu based in that sense. Like there's no analog stick movement, none of that.
Okay, cool.
So it's like me standing here looking at this. Orders come up, and I go, get out of here. All right, you're out of here. You're out of here.
That sounds cool.
It is, like I said, it's a lot of fun. Like I've talked about this game for a while. I really enjoy it. I was going to stream it this week, but then I realized that this is not a very good streaming game because of the focus that I like to give it. I am not
There's
talking.
no interaction, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm not thinking. And even if I am, I'm like, all right, it's a burger. You get bun, meat, cheese, lettuce, bye, thank you. And because sometimes it's easier to vote. If you vocalize it, you can process it a bit easier. So if I'm vocalizing the order, I'm like, all right, they need this, 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 and this. I find there's the better connection between my hand and my brain and my fingers. But yeah, they've simplified a lot from 2. The story is a great touch. They've added some shorts as well, where because you have these robo companions, you don't see them, they don't really do anything. But like when you start filling up your orders, you just, with a movement of the right analog stick, rather than singly having to go, essentially be like, here's your chips, here's your chips, here's your chips. You flick the stick and it goes and just clears them all out.
Oh, that's cool.
So you're actually saving time. Now, granted, they probably I feel they've loaded a ton more orders in, knowing that this is an easy way to start peeling through orders faster. But it's fun, man. Like I was playing it before. I was playing literally right before I recorded, but that'll probably be my focus for the next week, unless let's jump back into Horizon Zero Dawn. But it's a game that, obviously, I can't play it for like 6 hours because it is very stressful and it's intense, and it can be frustrating. But it's one of the things I jump into and just go and like get that like sort of not a lateral part of my brain, like that process part of my brain. It's like, yeah, cool. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you very much. And then I'll go do something else. I don't even know whether I've sold it well or whether I've described it well.
No, it sounds really interesting. I'll definitely be keen to check it out. I was in the mindset of I'm finishing Crash this week and that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it took me way longer than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, that's one of the other reasons that I haven't gone back to Crash, because a lot of consensus, it's it's like longer than it should be, is what I've heard.
Well, I thought it was on the final world for ages, and I'm like, nope, it's still going.
Yeah. So Dash in the chat goes, you made it sound like work, more productivity than gaming. Yeah, I guess so. That's kind of what it is. But it's the same way that like RTSs and sort of sim games and management games are really just work, because they push a different part of your brain.
Yeah.
And like, granted, I'll play a ton of games that are like more fun and silly. Like, I played Resident Evil VII and it was like good puzzles, action and just fun, intense story, where here it's just like bit of spooks, where here it's like, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to push this different part of my brain. Now, not everyone can do this, right? It's the same reason not everyone can play fucking Football Manager or whatever. It's different strokes for different peoples, right? As my camera freezes because I'm talking too much with my hands, I presume. It's just like pooping the bed. But I'm not deep enough in it to know how I compare it to 2. But so far it does feel simplified. It does feel a little bit easier. But I imagine not having to teach myself is where it's there, like, because I'm not having to relearn the menus, the systems, or anything like that. Maybe the barrier to entry feels, because I'm pretty deep in 2, so maybe it's just like, oh well, maybe it was this easy at 2 when it started, but now that I know what I'm doing, the hurdles seem less.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, playing that, I'll no doubt talking about that next week. Other than that, I don't think I've played anything else at all.
Nice.
Yeah, my kids jumped on Minecraft this week though. He has no idea what he's doing. He hasn't worked out analog sticks yet. But my wife built him a house and there's beds in there, and all he does is stay in the house and look out the window and open and shut the door and then go to bed. That's it. Except this morning, he opened the door and a fucking pig was there, and it was staring at him with cross eyes, and he freaked and just jumped because he didn't expect it. It's like, ah! And he's like, off the chair and everything. Apparently it was very funny. Anyway, that's about what we've been playing. Let's get to the section we call Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation. Why blow my nose? So much COVID.
We also... Well, guys, let's kick things off with arguably the biggest news in PlayStation this week. Let's talk some UI.
Yeah.
So after waiting what feels like forever, we finally and seeing lots of weird teasers from the likes of the Burger King Twitter and
speaking of, if you can 100, like, there's like 50 PS5s, people can't get them pre-ordered, but Hungry Jacks have 50 of them, and you can win them by buying Hungry Jack's food. And like, if I wasn't like trying to be all good and stuff, I would probably be eating Hungry Jacks right now. Actually, I am due for a cheat meal this week. Maybe we'll get Hungry Jacks.
So we finally got a state of play showing off the PlayStation 5's UI. So at the start of the show, they turned it on. We saw the profile select screen, and they mentioned that it was powering on from a rest state, not a powered off state. Which makes sense because they were showing off Sackboy's big old sack in the background there. Yep. So they explained that they had already made their profile and whatnot. So obviously, when you first turn your PlayStation on, it's going to look different to what it showed. And then they basically touted that with the touch of a button, presumably the PlayStation button, you will have access to all the news from the games you're following, access to all the activity cards that show off how close you are to completing certain activities in certain games. It gives you a nice little... We estimate that it's going to take you X amount of minutes to finish this activity, which is going to depress a lot of people when they say it's going to take X amount of minutes and it takes you 3 times longer than that.
Yeah. I do wonder whether the activity understands, like, it has, like, machine learning, where it's like, you really shit. This should take 8 minutes, but I'm going to give you 48, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so they refer to these as cards, I believe. So the activities seem to be essentially what is trophy progression, or what I'm assuming to be trophy progression.
They didn't highlight it, but yeah.
They didn't highlight it, so the reference they used was there was a costume in Sackboy's Big Adventure that they hadn't collected. And then it said it was 66% complete. He had done some of the other tasks. It's like it'll take you 10 minutes to go back in and get it.
Yeah.
So
they were like, well, here's the option where if you with a little picture-in-picture, if you want to know, if you want some hints where it is, it's like rather than go to YouTube, rather than leave the PlayStation and go over here, it's built in. You can now go see where you got to go to get it.
Yeah, so you can have that pinned to either side of your screen or as a little picture-in-picture mode. But that is only available to PlayStation Plus subscribers. It's not available for everyone.
Weird.
And it also allows you to launch the game from the activity card directly to the point of where that activity takes place. Yeah. So in Sackboy, I believe Sackboy has individual levels. So instead of loading up the Sackboy game, going into your main menu, then finding the exact level, you can just click on that card. It instantly boots up, puts you in that level, ready to go. So that was really cool. Then we got a quick transition. We saw some quick transition load times from playing Sackboy straight into playing Demolition All-Stars. No gameplay was shown for Demolition All-Stars. They basically booted up a game, took a screenshot with the new, with all the new fancy systems, sent it to a new party that they created, which we got some more news about later with party issues. That was fun. They brought up that speech dictation it has been added for faster messaging, and that they have built-in spoiler warnings for screenshots sent to party members. So if you take a screenshot of a game that you're playing and you want to share it with your friends, there will be a spoiler warning for them if the game deems it to be spoiler-worthy. So I wonder who actually... how the game would I guess, I mean, we have some of that now in the current system where screens will be blocked. Mm-hmm. So now that when you get a trophy on PlayStation 4, it takes a little screenshot. Sometimes those are blank because it's in a locked screen where they deem it to be, poignant to the story. They don't want to spoil anything. So I guess, that's cool. You can't spoil your friends. They pointed out that the UI was running in a native 4K with HDR, so it's looking nice and crisp.
Want to hope so, yeah.
Was there anything else that I've missed that they talked about?
Not really. I think you kind of hit it all on the head there. One thing.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, so one thing to note as well. This is a little side note. I got pointed this out to me today that like when they boot up, it's in like the profile selection and it's a Helghast symbol, the Helghast helmet, and apparently the name of the user profile is actually a very deep cut reference to Killzone.
Yeah, apparently the Killzone people are going crazy on the internet right now.
Yeah, so whether that means something, probably not. Because like I'm pretty sure that Helghast symbol is the most common PSN avatar.
Yeah.
So it's very likely that's why they picked it, and it made sense if if they didn't just call him like Big Dick McGee or something.
So
I'm pretty sure that's a take.
One of the questions I had coming out of this is how many of the third-party developers are going to put in the effort for these hint videos?
Yeah, that I do wonder.
Because obviously first-party studios, they're probably going to have a little bit of pressure put on them saying, we've got this integrated into our system. We need you to make these. But what's stopping like third-party developers? Are they going to spend the extra time developing it for just the PlayStation 5 when obviously the Xbox doesn't have a system like this?
I think initially some might do it, like depending on their dealings with PlayStation. Then maybe there's a financial bump for them to do it. But I think as the generation progresses, we'll likely see that if they say like, once again, 70% of our audience are on PlayStation, it's worth our time to do this because it's something that we can support because PlayStation, right? That would make the most sense. But as of right now, it would be just speculative on who would do it. Because I agree with you, it's like there's not really a lot of incentive for them to do it, other than whether it be mandated or not. But yeah.
The other thing that I was curious about, so the picture-in-picture mode works for the help videos as well, and it also showed it available during screen sharing through a party system, similar to what SharePlay on the PlayStation 4 does now. I was wondering because can I put a YouTube video on in a picture-in-picture mode and have a game be playing a game and then watching like a let's play on a YouTube channel?
Yeah,
like
I'm
what's
not
the
sure
what's
on
the
that.
extent of that picture-in-picture mode? Is it restricted to those functionalities alone, or is it going to be a little bit more user-friendly?
See, didn't the Xbox One was capable of doing that? Remember, you could also essentially plug in your cable box into your Xbox.
Well,
picture.
Yeah.
Not something I use. That's the big part from a lot of this in terms of the features. Visually, I think it's great. It looks simplified. It looks sleek. It looks futuristic. It's ticking all the boxes.
They also mentioned that the PlayStation Store, I've got it written further down, but I'll mention it here. The PlayStation Store is completely integrated into the PS5 itself. It's not its own separate app anymore. So it will allow you to get through things a lot faster because you won't have to open an app before you can actually reach the store.
Good call.
So if you're looking through those news articles and you're like, hey, that game interests me, you can click on that game and purchase that game straight away without having to go to the store, waiting for that to load, then finding the thing that you want to actually purchase.
Well, yeah, seeing as the search function in the store is garbage, and like although I'm not experienced it personally, like I believe you have, I know, previous host of the show, Josh has, where you go to open the store and it just doesn't load in, and you have to like essentially reboot your internet to make it happen. So there's that. But my point was, yeah, it looks good, it feels great. I'm happy with it from an aesthetic perspective, but I also feel that I will probably end up treating it the exact same way I treat every time I upgrade my phone. It's got all these fancy pants features on it, and I end up using the exact same shit. And I never end up taking advantage of the new features. You know what I mean? When it's like, here's all these activities, I'm like, I'm probably not going to use you. Because it's just some of those things that are in there are not really things that interest me. Like, if I can disable them and turn them off, win. Because, like, granted, the percentage stuff is handy, but, just there are some, like, the news and stuff I'm not really super hyped on, because we presumably will already know it, and I don't need to see it on my PlayStation, because you and I, we read our news elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing, like, because until we see it, I don't know whether it'll be as beneficial to me. From a mass perspective, sure. Like, I'm sure many, many people will appreciate having that information handy. They know how long this level is. Because say they're like, I'll go to bed after finishing this level, and it's like, it's going to take another 4 hours. Like, well, fuck this noise. I'm going to bed now. rather than pushing through, and then just finding out it's 3 in the
But then
morning.
there's also the inverse of, we think this is going to take you 20 minutes, and 2 hours later you're still going.
Yeah. I don't see myself using a lot of those features, but I like that they are there for those that wish to.
I mean, they're probably good for the completionists that are like, I can load directly to that point that I'm missing. If I get stuck, I can get the help that I need. There is benefit to it. I don't think I can see myself using too much of it often.
But yeah, so to add to that visual aesthetic, I really quite like that there's a small, like the icons are sort of a smaller thing in the in the top left, allowing for a larger picture, and with being 4K and HDR, it's going to look fantastic. Because right now, anytime you do happen to use a theme, because there's also apparently there will or may not be themes. I've heard 2 different reports this week. When it comes to themes, is like the cross media bar itself actively blocks your background. So there's less incentive to have a cool background or a cool picture. Where here you have this big space that you can work in. It's gonna look sexy as hell. And then but all the little functions that you need are not in the way. And that little taskbar at the bottom. So when you do press the PlayStation button, presumably, and it opens up that little quick menu, it's down the bottom. It's small, but then it can get bigger if you want to use the activities. I'm okay with it, man. Granted, if you look over at what the Xbox, Microsoft and the Xbox are doing right now, they've just released their latest UI as of this week. It looks primarily the same. However, upon recollection, it looks cleaner than I remember, because I don't look at Xbox all that often. So when I pulled one up at work and I'm like, okay, there's a lot more space here than there were before. It does look cleaner. Doesn't look as bad as I've shit on it before in the past. I still don't like it though. But I would willing to lose some ground and say it's not as bad as I remember.
Fair enough.
That helps. But in additional PS news, this week we saw the release of Firmware 8.0 with some quite notable changes. One of them being an icon that now appears under your username to show what console you are currently playing on. Parties are now harder to put together for some reason, needing to make a conversation group before inviting them to an actual party chat. So in the same way, it's like you need to make a chat and then invite them to the chat rather than going, "Hey, Max, you want to be in a chat?" Sweet.
Such a weird thing. Yeah.
Excuse me.
I guess it's part of the PS5 system where you start a group conversation first and then you weird. I don't know.
Yeah. So when you create a party chat, you are informed that the chat may be recorded.
Yeah.
However, Sony has since responded saying with the following statement, quote, "Following this update, users are seeing notification about party safety and that voice chats in parties may be recorded. Voice chat recording for moderation is a feature that will be available on the PS5 when it launches and will enable users to record their voice chats on PS5 and submit them for moderation review. The pop-up you're seeing on PS4 right now is to let you know that when you participate in a chat with a PS5 user post-launch, they may submit those recordings from their PS5 consoles to SIE. Only the most recent 5 minutes of a voice chat will be available for a player to use for the most reporting function. Therefore, it's recording all the time, but you only have access to 5 minutes. Just want to clarify that before I make my next statement. Explain Global Consumer Experience boss Catherine Jensen. These reports may be submitted directly through the PS5 console and will be sent to our consumer experience team for moderation, who will then listen to the recording and take it out if needed. You cannot opt out of this. Now, I don't mean to alarm everybody. If you have a hot mic, 99% of the time you're being recorded. Every time that you use Siri is constantly recording you. Because she's constantly hearing, she, not the machine. She is constantly hearing for particular keywords.
Yeah, that's why when you open your phone the next time, you've got ads for hot single women in your area.
That's right. You are I don't mean to alarm you, everybody who decide to get real uppity around about very specific things. Your security your data is fucked. It's gone, right? So right now, like we are recording this, like locally recording it for our podcast. Twitch now have it. I'm sure there's other programs that Windows have that pick it up. Sure.
My whole thing about this, and this is what's funny.
Oh, sorry. I should also add, but these are the same people that probably share their location on fucking Facebook. All right, Facebook has and keeps way more data about you than the PS5 ever will or need to do, and you're like more than happy to post a bunch of shit on there.
Well, my whole thing on this, and I find this really both interesting and kind of funny. It's only your created party chats. So, assuming that you're not creating party chats to invite randoms and abuse them, I tend to only, invite my friends to party chats. I don't expect any of my party members or friends at that time to send away and make a report that I'm being,
It depends. If you're in a team with chat, fuck Cass. You know what I mean? Like if he's in there, throw him under the bus.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, so it's your party that you've created, so only people in that party can report you. I don't see a time where anyone in your own party that you've invited would ever actually report you.
Yeah.
Now I get this I can understand this if you're playing Call of Duty or Fortnite or something in a public setting where you're in a public team lobby and you have voice chat on and someone stepping out of line and verbally abusing some poor kid who can't play the game as well as the rest of you. Sure, you probably deserve a report. The gaming community, especially the online gaming community, can be a very toxic place, and putting these things into place will hopefully be useful. But in your own party system, I feel it's really weird that.
But potential. Maybe there's something here that we're missing. Maybe there's a change in how party chat works because clearly they're not looking at Discord integration yet. Yeah. So maybe this is their way of once again, from your and my experience, I never use party chat unless I'm talking to you, and then even then you use Discord now.
Well, I used party chat for the first time last night because I was actually share playing with someone. And I had to unplug my mic from my PC and plug it back into the PlayStation for it to pick it up.
Yeah. But even then,
I very rarely use party
Maybe
chats.
the kids these days, with their inability to understand how random people work, they are just like, hey, you're in my team, come into the party chat. Maybe this would only be implemented in a specific way. PlayStation can only control their own ecosystem, so therefore they can't demand that conversations in Call of Duty be recorded because it's that if Call of Duty or Activision say no, which would be weird because they're gross big companies. Like Activision have done way more horrible shit than just record your audio. So PlayStation can control that. They can't deem that. They can't force that on anybody else. So whether this just be a legitimate issue, and they're actively finding that there is data around younger people or people that are inviting them into their teams, into their party chat, and getting shat on by randos, or this is them essentially trying to create a message and trying to create a safety blanket, or at least within their own ecosystem.
Which I'm fine with. Like, honestly, people need the online toxic community needs to be held accountable at some point.
Yeah.
Like, no kid needs to hear that he's garbage at a game because he's not,
unless he's garbage.
Because you don't think he's pulling his own weight. Like, it's bad enough when we give Cass a hard time about
That's
it.
True. If anything, Cass is about to get his account banned, is what I'm saying.
Moving on. Assassin's Creed, Ryan.
Yeah.
Went gold this morning.
Woo-hoo!
This is at time of recording. So
I've hit a little peak. Like, there was a window of time, and this happens every time with Assassin's Creed, might I add. So, like, I remember when I have gone on the record numerous times being like, Assassin's Creed sucks dick. I hate it. And then they announced Origins, and I went, okay.
Well,
and I played it. And then I was like, no,
that
Assassin's Creed's butt. And then Odyssey was up, and I was like, oh, hey, Odyssey, what's going on? And it's happening here right now, where I'm like, Assassin's Creed sucks. Oh, Valhalla's right around the corner. Oh, hey.
Well, see, I would argue that these 3 latest Assassin's Creed games aren't Assassin's Creed games.
Well, yeah, because now that they're all super littered and like real RPG heavy, but in like a gatekeepy sort of like you can't go to your level 11 sort of.
I really hope there's not a microtransaction to buy like bonus XP permanently. Like
See, but saying that though, like this is how it's gone. Like this is how I know that the excitement is real. I pulled out our copies of Assassin's Creed. Like so, in this slipcase, I've got Origins and Odyssey because. This was back when the digital codes were less prevalent. But I'm like, it's right there. I'm like, do I? Because like, I don't have 400 hours to really between now and November 10th. But I'm like, maybe.
I know, right? So what's got me excited is a tweet from Ubisoft Nordic went out this week with confirmation that Valhalla will have supernatural elements.
Quote, Valhalla? No, I'm sorry.
With a quote, with the help of Volkar the Seer, leap beyond reality into the mythological worlds of Asgard and Jotunheim. This came with a screenshot showing off some of the locations, and they look absolutely fantastic.
I've gone blackout. I blacked out a little while ago, just in general, and then blacked out about this game. I've separated some time because it's like right around the corner. Like I saw the initial trailers, I was like, yeah, no, I'm in. Viking stuff is cool. So now I'm just kind of holding off. And then I know the trailer dropped this week. That's apparently really, really cool. Like,
yeah, I haven't watched the trailer yet. I have had a look at some of the news. So, as you know, there's Ivor, the main character, can be played as a male or female protagonist. Mm-hmm. There is also an option to let the Animus decide.
Oh.
And the Animus will basically go which path, the male or the female path, which will be the strongest in this memory block, and it will automatically assign the character that way. So you can, because they've already stated that you can switch between the 2 pro tags whenever you want.
Awesome.
This is now you can let the game decide when that's more relevant.
But Ubisoft, with their history of being horrible to women, it's very likely, like, who's the strongest for this mission? Guess what? It's the man. What about this mission? The man. What about this one where we need a woman to, like, it would be really beneficial to make it be a woman? Yeah, women don't sell games. Yeah. Direct quote for a fucking Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So, I'm not going to trust the game.
I want to point out that the female lead in Odyssey was way
Stacks better. Cassandra was dope. Alexios can suck all the butt. Cassandra is where it's at.
So we also got more information about the settlement system of the upcoming game. So this was explained in depth over at Eurogamer. The basic gist is that as you adventure across the land, raiding enemy strongholds and allying yourself with the local lords, you will assemble a catalogue of resources, and these resources can be spent on your settlement, where you can construct buildings and establish trade. Apparently, there's a whole lot of stuff to unlock. Stables will let you train and buy horses. You can get tattoo parlors. You can, and then obviously, as most of the new Assassin's Creed games have done these days, there is some players that can be romanced in the settlement.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the favourite parts of Odyssey, was just banging everyone.
So this is similar to what they had in, I believe it was Assassin's Creed 2. I think.
You pushed my memory on that one.
Where Ezio had like this villa that you could upgrade, where you could buy your own weaponsmiths and armor smiths and banks, and you had an economy, and you can hire and train your own assassins and all that stuff. So I think from what it sounds like, it's very similar to that. But all I can say is I'm actually really keen for this game.
Yeah. So like right now, I'm in a similar space. I'm like you. I'm excited. I'm anticipating.
And that sucks because there are way too many games to play around launch, and then like Cyberpunk's going to come in and hit me and take over my life.
Well, that's the thing. I kind of went. I've got Watch Dogs first. Watch Dogs is coming out first. I've got to focus on Watch Dogs. Then I'll think about Assassin's Creed. Then I'll think about Cyberpunk. Because it depends whether they come our way. Like whether we're like we will play all of them and we will review all of them. But like depending on if they arrive a certain way or a certain time, we'll focus on how we handle them. Yeah.
We may have to divide and conquer.
There's a lot of juggling. There may be a situation of where
many.
Max plays Cyberpunk, which is weird. I don't think he's really that excited for it. But and then maybe I'll jump on Creed, and then we'll swap at the end of the month or something, depending on what the release schedule looks like. In the chat, Puck confirms that it was Brotherhood had the ability to hire assassins in the Facebook game that connected to it. And Spire Willow Jacob commented about the voice chat. He goes, "I only use voice chat when I stream, as I can't mute my mic in game without muting it for the stream." Yeah,
that makes sense.
I don't know what they're going to do with that in terms of the whole streaming, but hopefully they get that sorted. But it's the two big releases from Ubi, let alone the next gen. We're hitting that big fucking busy time. I'm excited. Big games, Max. They may not be coming around ever. Bethesda. Now, we have discussed many, many times now since the announcement that, Microsoft now owns ZeniMax Studios. It's ZENIMAX Max. You spelled it wrong.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
However, Xbox boss, I'm just going to call it Xbox. The Xbox, Phil Spencer, has been talking to reporters recently, especially around the idea of these games coming to other systems. He asked whether it's possible to recoup the organization's enormous investment by skipping PlayStation's sizable install base. Spencer replied the following: "Yes." But then he also added some additional context. "This deal was not done to take games away from another player base. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together was, quote, 'How do you keep other players from playing these games?' End quote. We want more people to be able to play games and not fewer people to be able to play games." This is fantastic because one of our big discussion points, Max, previously was this kind of shits in the face of their whole anyone should be able to play games. Although he did admit within this that with his company, quote, "doesn't have to go ship these games on other platforms other than the platforms that we support in order to kind of make the deal work for us." It is a slightly ambiguous statement from the exec, but because he's technically answering the question on whether Microsoft will get a return on its investment by not releasing PlayStation platforms, but he never actually says that it won't ship. So he's essentially saying, yes, we're open to it, but the idea that the only way we will get our money back is by doing that, no. He's essentially saying yes, but no, but yes, but not in the reason that you're thinking. So I saw this on Twitter as well from friend of the show, Shane Bailey from Ubi. His personal Twitter account. He put up a post saying it's a situation of like, by the time that we see the likes of Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield, Xbox Games Pass subscription may be through the roof. We might be looking at, tens of millions of subscribers, 50 million subscribers, right? So if they've got this recurring income, maybe not instantly, but over a longer window of time, they're likely going to see enough money in return to make that decision an easier decision. Because if they're clearing like $500 million a month, then fucking win.
Well, as of... when was this dated? They've currently got around 15 million Games Pass subscribers.
Yeah.
At $10 a month.
Yes, but that $10 a month does also take into account the cost to get the games.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe the Games Pass currently is working in the black. I see this being currently probably giving a bit of sting to Microsoft, but clearly not. I think they're smart enough and patient enough to look ahead and be like, we may be hurting now, but this is the future of gaming. This is the future of Microsoft. Like, I believe their long-term plan is to become that software provider. Like, they'll have consoles currently, but in turn, we'll see Games Pass on everything. And once that happens, all that money and investment is coming back. That's how I see them going. So his statement, certainly, I see from how I'm reading the tea leaves, is a correct statement on his plans for Microsoft and Xbox specifically.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, Max?
Not the same. It like we said earlier when this first happened. It's not. It doesn't make sense, and it goes against their statement of games should be played anywhere. It makes no sense for them to gate out such a big audience. Even if they don't have to include them to make their money back, like he's saying, it's not what they stand for. So why would they?
Yeah.
But obviously things can change. Something could go wrong, and if something tanks somewhere and they need to recoup their losses, I really hope this isn't what they go for.
I don't see them do it. I don't see them. I don't. I think, as I said, I think the long-term plan here of Microsoft is pretty viable. I think that they the other big benefit, as well as we've discussed numerous times in the past, is because Xbox isn't the big selling point for Microsoft as a company.
Yeah,
they're willing to sort of eat a bit. You know what I mean? With PlayStation, they are I think it's 30-40% of Sony's entire revenue base. So if PlayStation starts losing coin, that's a massive threat to Sony as a company. Their net worth is less than what they pay and what was paid to ZeniMax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, in terms of the comparativeness, Microsoft can have that long-term vision and plan a bit better. And then I don't see them being in the position where they need to make that call to have their Bethesda stuff become exclusive. I
think the purchase will have worked for them, for those people who only play the ZeniMax Studio games, like your Doom, your Elder Scrolls and stuff. If they're those people that are hedging their, do we pick it? Do we buy a PlayStation console? Or do we now buy an Xbox console? They'll get those guys going, well, they're all on Games Pass now. Let's get that Xbox console and pay $15 a month instead of paying $90 per game.
$125 RRP for a game,
yeah. Yeah, it does make their Games Pass system look so much more valuable than what it was.
It is incredibly appetizing. That's a deal.
Let's talk some Destiny 2, Ryan.
Yeah.
Destiny 2 will receive its free upgrade to PlayStation 5 on the 8th of December 2020. They've stated that this upgrade will provide 4K resolutions, 60 frames per second, a field of view slider, faster load times, and cross-gen play with PlayStation 4 players. Bungie elaborates, quote, "We are offering a field of view customization on consoles for the first time. Our goal is to enable an FOV range similar to that on the PC. We're currently testing these settings to ensure smooth performance across each platform, and we'll have additional details closer to launch. It is worth noting that you will be able to play Destiny 2 on PlayStation 5 before the upgrade is released, thanks to backwards compatibility, but only load times will be shorter. There will be no other additional benefits."
See,
which is great because load times are garbage in Destiny 2.
They're poo.
I think from some of the reports, they're almost 3 times as fast now.
Yay!
It takes a good minute to load into Destiny 2 at the moment. It is disgusting.
So, as someone that doesn't fuck with FOV, I don't see this as an appeal to me personally. But I know that many, many people love being able to change their field of view, because when I see people do it, makes the game look all like a fish-eyed lens, and I'm like, oh. So I don't really enjoy it. Do you fuck with field of view?
Only for some games.
What games make you decide to do it?
So the current games that I increase my field of view on are shooters and Rocket League.
What is the advantage?
You can see more of the periphery.
Okay.
Essentially, is what it is.
So obviously within a shooter that makes sense.
So Rocket with the shooter, you can see people beside you as opposed to having to spin at them.
Could be why.
But yeah, like Spire puts in the chat, field of view is completely game dependent.
Yeah, and I imagine so. And I'm glad that setting is being sort of implemented. And I imagine we'll see it more and more as the gen continues, as we sort of see that line between console and PC start blurring, in terms of not raw capability, because the PC will always dominate a console, always. So anytime you hear an argument about PC Master Race, yeah, duh.
But Ryan, when's the PC 2 coming out?
I do laugh at that every time. It does make me chuckle. But yeah, no, shout out to Destiny 2. They're sort of bringing that stuff in. They're one of the first people to sort of really do big time updates. Sorry, big time cross play and stuff like that. So Shout out to them. Spire also adds, so Willow, like for the Cold War beta, they added FOV slider for the PS4, and it made the experience a lot better in my opinion. Speaking of, I did play that again this week. Have you played it yet this week?
No, but I'm looking forward to diving into the Dirty Bomb mode this weekend with 40 player.
Well, let me know, man, because
craziness.
I had a lot of fun playing it with Dash the other day, and once again, I seem to go really well in betas, but suck ass at launch, so I'm hoping to enjoy it right now in the beta, where I'm suddenly just getting a lot of deaths. Kills, not deaths. Also, I'm dying a lot too. But like my ratio is a lot more positive now than it will be at launch. So
I'll let you know what I'm on.
I want to enjoy this weekend. All right. The Avengers are failing to assemble for the PS5 Max. Writing on the Square Enix blog, the developer, which is of Square Enix, have said the following: We've also made the decision. Apparently, I guess there was another decision we missed. To shift our PS5 and Xbox Series X/S launch to next year to ensure that we give our team the time to deliver a next-gen experience showcasing all that this game is meant to be. Oof. With more details to come. The first post-launch content drop centered around Kate Bishop has also been pushed out of this month to a later date. Crystal Dynamics promises that Marvel's Avengers will still look and run better via backwards compatibility on PS5 with faster load times and improved frame rates. You'll also still be able to play with your friends on PS4.
Have you gone back to this game recently?
No.
I went back to it about a week and a half ago. I was trying to play some online co-op, and no one could join me. I couldn't join anyone. It was a hot mess, and I gave up after about 30 minutes of troubleshooting.
What was it last week? There was like 1,000 people concurrent on Steam.
Yeah.
They're bad.
Yeah.
See, the issue here, it's the same issue that comes with every fucking games as a service game, right? Where the idea was, rather than releasing a game that works, every statement, you think about every statement with Anthem, as probably the nearest example, Fallout 76, the response is, we're sorry, we'll fix it. Not because there's actual problems. It's because they under-delivered and they released a shitty game. And the same thing's been done here. They'll be like, look, we understand the game's broken. We're fixing it. We're sorry. That's not the conversation you should be having. The conversation you should be having is very similar to like what you get from Fall Guys. And they're like, hey, we're really sorry that our game's not working for everyone because it's so popular, the servers are not keeping up. That is the conversation you should be having, not the game is fucked, we're sorry that you're disappointed.
Well, I think apart from the technical issues that this game is having, the other issue that all these games run into is they say, we're not going to put the end game content in at launch, it will be added after, and they take too long to put in their end game content. They fail again and again to realize how quickly gamers get to end game content in games like these, because that's realistically when the game really starts for a lot of these games.
That's when it should start. But what we're seeing is this trend where they're failing to do so. It's almost like they sit there and they tout these 10-year plans, these decade-long plans, but you can tell they clearly had no goal outside of outside of launch. Because if they did, Endgame would be in there, and they would be like not road mapping shit and then constantly moving these barriers. They would have it lined up. They'd have it ready to go, or they would just fucking give it to you. Like the difficulty here is that rather than be like, they are now forcing a push on that content in order to correct the game that they rushed out, or that they made blandly on purpose, because once again, similar to Anthem. Now, this quote comes directly from Jim Sterling, so don't think it was mine. They're using developers that don't make these style of games, shoddily throwing together these sort of games. Like Square Enix don't make games as a service. Fucking BioWare don't make games as a service. Therefore, the game they release is bland and by the numbers because they're not willing to push the boundaries because they don't know how. So that happens here. They didn't push the boundaries on what Avengers could be. You're not fighting villains. You're fighting fucking robots and shit. That is boring. Marvel has such an extensive and huge, massive, beautiful list of fucking villains that you can run with. And instead, you're fighting aimbots.
Well, see, to play devil's advocate, I wonder how lenient Marvel have been with what licensed characters they can use in this game. Like, do they actually have access to all the villains? Because if they do, then yeah, they should be in there. But if they don't, they have to work with what they're being given.
But as it's not been disclosed, and from the track record of this title, it's very confident to think that aren't doing it.
Oh no, I completely agree with you. It would just be it would just be an interesting piece of information to have.
Yeah. So what was your point before I really ranted through it?
I was just going to point out that Destiny has learned from their mistakes with this as a games of service. They now, when they launch their content, they launch their raid generally either same day or now 3 days later instead of like a week to 2 weeks, because they've realized that their players will be like, well, we want to be ready and we're going to make sure we're ready, and they'll be ready within 2 days to get in there.
Once again, the big difference here is Destiny, they
have been doing it for years.
They've doing it for years, but they've learnt. Like Bungie, when they started, didn't make these games. So they had a lot of teething problems, especially with Activision forcing these series of updates on them, right? So now that they're free and they've been doing it for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Like they've done the run. They know what their player base wants. They know how to work within this space. Granted, they fucked up something fierce early on, but they've since been in a place to correct it.
Yeah. And it's a shame that it seems like other developers don't look at other things that other similar games of service games and don't learn from their mistakes.
But
as well.
This is also this is the bigger problem about the games industry. Yeah, as you said, like they're following the trend.
Yeah.
So what happened 4 years ago? Say Marvel went, or Square Enix were like, we want to do a games of service because this is where the money is, what everyone's doing. Forgetting the fact that in 4 years from now, a lot of games would have been weirded out and only the big boys remain. So, because they're in development for 4 years, they can't really start. If they can't just up and change shit as they go, because the landscape, the climate is constantly changing.
And like, I wonder what the relationship is between Crystal Dynamics being the developers and Square Enix were publishing the game, because Square Enix themselves do, I would argue, make games of a service because they have an online MMORPG running that has been running for years, and it started off so shit they literally rebuilt the frigging game.
Yeah,
so they know what makes a good online service game. They have one example though. I mean, they've made 2 online service games, Final Fantasy 11 and 14.
Fair.
And then 14 got completely remade as A Realm Reborn. So I would argue they have a little bit of knowledge, and I wonder if they actually shared any of that information with Crystal Dynamics, or if Crystal Dynamics have been left to swim in the deep end and just see how well they can tread water.
Well, for them, they're just a publisher in this circumstance, where Square Enix is the dev. Now, granted, like Square Enix and what are they called? Crystal Dynamics have a working relationship. They've been working together for a long window of time. So you would presume that communication would be there. But it depends. Like, when you've got the likes of Disney and Marvel on their back, you don't know how hard that they've been putting on there, or what they can and cannot do. So benefit of the doubt. But like I said, I'm more confident that they just delivered a subpar game because they didn't know how to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Which is sad. It's a bummer. And then right now, the people that want to play this game are left short. No one's going to give a fuck come next gen because no one gives a fuck now.
Yeah.
So this alleged 10-year plan is going to be done within 6 months. This game came out in September?
Yeah. They've just celebrated their 1 month anniversary or whatever.
And no one's playing it.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thought.
Yep. All right, Ryan, let's kick off with some quick bits after that poor Avengers. PS5's first game has been made and printed. And it's Godfall.
Yeah, if you go to
Shown off
Twitter,
by a very sweaty Randy Pritchard.
yeah, either Randy Pitchford either just got out of the shower, or he's like, I don't know why he felt the need to take a photo with the game just after a shower, or he like sprinted.
He showered with it.
Or he did like one of his little like I was gonna make a real bad joke there. Wasn't his porn drive like about had squirt videos in it? Just saying.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Yeah, he's also an interesting person nonetheless. But yeah, so and then 2 days later, he released a photo of him holding those Borderlands keys, and he looked drastically less sweaty. Sweaty, because there's being sweaty and there's being sweaty, and he is sweaty. Like he looked gleaming. He had a hard sheen. The game looks pretty. The game looks fine. Like we received confirmation a while back that they're no longer doing the black case, they're doing the blue case. So it looks good with the white. It fits in line with the console. Looks exactly as you would expect. There's no real manual. It's a disc. The PS5 disc looks almost the same as this, but it's the picture and white on the bottom.
Yeah,
looks like a box. I like it.
Yeah. There is a new Miles Morales gameplay video available to those who are interested in getting more Spoods before its release.
Haven't seen it except for one GIF that shows Miles Morales leaving a warehouse through a window, and I watched it because that transition is so beautifully smooth. I may have wept just a little bit.
Yeah, so it shows off the clip you're talking about is it shows the difference between leaving a hideout on the PlayStation 4 version and the PlayStation 5 version, where there's a 19-second load time on the PS4 version, and on the PS5 version, you literally shoot yourself out of the warehouse and you're back straight in the open world, ready to go.
As someone
not a single loading screen, it just transitions straight through.
As someone that's just played the DLC and a big hunk of it is clearing out hideouts, load times everywhere. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful.
Ghost of Tsushima Legends update is live right now, and it is currently open on my third screen, ready to play.
I am playing it. For those of you that are, have a damn good time.
And the PlayStation Store's Halloween sale has kicked off.
Upwards of like 70% on shit.
The big one that I saw is Death Stranding is currently under $50, and if you have not played that game, it is well worth
that. Man. Like Doom's on there as well. Doom Eternal, and Doom Eternal is pretty cheap. It's about to... and there's a new DLC for it in like 4 days or 2 days, time of this goes live. So that's the Ancient Gods and stuff. There's a lot there. Get excited, man. Like there's some good things in there. I
think all the Rezzies are on there.
Yeah,
if there's scary stuff in the game, just like
everyone,
it's there.
There is a double pack for Resident Evil 2 and 3. You should buy it. That game is mint. The remakes are fantastic, and it's 100% worth your dollars. One of the top games of last year, Resi 2. All right. Here is the top 10 best-selling games on the PS4 for the week ending the 11th of October 2020. Number 10, Mafia Definitive Edition. Number 9, Marvel's Avengers. See, it's apparently selling well, but no one's playing it. Number 8, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 7, Mafia Trilogy. Number 6, Ghosts of Tsushima. NBA 2K number 21 comes in at number 5. Number 4 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Number 3 is Star Wars Squadrons. Number 2, Crash 4, It's About Time. And number 1, in a decision that surprises absolutely fucking no one, FIFA 21 is the top selling game, and I believe it will be for the next couple of weeks, and will then spike again once next generation kicks in.
Yeah.
People get really hard for them soccer games, man.
Yeah, I don't mind FIFA. I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind FIFA.
Yeah, I played I'm back on PlayStation 1, and I haven't really played it ever since. So I'm open to it. All right, Max, but those are the games that are selling well already. Let's have a look at what games are coming out in the near future or next week in a section we call Coming to the Players.
First off, we have...
From the blog?
No.
God damn it.
Actually, I should check, but I'm pretty sure the answer's no.
Yeah, the drop still thinks it's June, so... yeah, not getting too excited. Puck also adds, hey, next month you guys will have 2 sales charts to report. Damn right we will. But sadly, that means that Bugsnax will be in that list, and I don't want to talk about it.
All right, first off, we have Amnesia Rebirth coming October 20th. We have Transformers Battlegrounds coming October 23rd. Ghost Runner coming October 27th, and Trials of Cold Steel coming October 27th.
That's it?
That's it. Yeah, Watch Dogs is not coming out until the week after.
Yeah,
that's it. It's not much.
All right, well,
everything I guess kicks off October 29th with Watch Dogs.
There you go, everyone. Well, now you've got a week to fucking get things in line. Get everything in, get everything together, because we've got time. You've got
Play your backlog. Finish your Horizon Zero Dawn.
Finish your Horizon Zero Dawn, Ryan Betson.
Your Gods of Wars.
Your Gods of Wars. Do what you got to do. Play Ghost of Tsushima if you want to, I guess, or Death Stranding. Get everything
sorted.
Play
Death Stranding. Get Death Stranding. It is fantastic.
So good. And you should all remember, as Dash said in the chat, hashtag fuck Bugsnax. Send it on home, Max.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to be part of future conversations, check out our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All our links are in the description below.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live. We can get involved. You become part of the chat. You too can share your hype for PS5 or share your disdain for Bugsnax. If you want to support the show, you can. You can tell your friends, you can tell your family about this PlayStation pod. You can also, if you're listening on podcast services like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you're watching us on the YouTube, be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, and even leave a comment below. I do endeavor to answer every single comment that is left. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit without logos on it. Which reminds me, I will now seek out a fuck Bugsnax shirt. I'm going to reach out to a good friend, Pixel Beast, and be like, hey, man, can you design a fuck Bugsnax shirt for me? Because I will wear that. My only concern is I play the game, what if I end up enjoying it?
Oh, well, then you just...
Not happening! Because fuck Bugsnax!
No, you can just change the inflection. Be like, fuck Bugsnax.
Yeah, exclamation mark. Put a comma in there, yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Don't mind.
But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was For the Players. Fuck Bugsnax.
Fuck Bugsnax.
For the Players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast is fan-supported at patreon.com/thepopculturist. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: Damien Holdies, Lee Wintershoven, Sean Levitt, and Solomon Barak.